Captain Elias Vance stood near the edge of the dropship's loading ramp, staring out at the green mist swirling over the jungle moon of Pharaoh's 9. His armor hummed softly around him, and his helmet sat under his arm. The sky above was a pale orange, and lightning flashed far in the distance. This moon looked peaceful from orbit, but down here, it was hell. All units. "Ready up," Elias said, his voice calm but firm. "We move in 10. The strike team around him responded with short, sharp affirmatives. Most of them were young, first-time soldiers. Elias had seen too many green recruits over the last year. The war with the Zareth Dominion had dragged on longer than anyone expected. The Zareth were fast, intelligent, and terrifyingly efficient. They looked humanoid, but that's where the similarities ended. Taller, stronger, with sleek black armor and glowing weapons. They never spoke, never negotiated, and they never left a battlefield without a message. Humanity must evolve or perish. Elias didn't care about politics. His mission today was simple: recover the lost science outpost and find any survivors. The ramp hissed open, humid. Air rushed in, carrying the smell of sulfur and strange flowers. Elias put on his helmet and stepped into the jungle. Trees towered above them like skyscrapers, and vines glowed faintly with bioluminescent light. "Eyes open," Elias said over. "The comes." "We're not alone." They moved in silence, 10 soldiers in a diamond formation. The jungle was too quiet. No birds, no animals, just wind, rustling leaves, and distant thunder. Suddenly movement, contact left, shouted Private Hahn, dark. Shapes dropped from the tree's Zareth warriors, their armor shining in the low light. Energy bolts flew, lighting up the trees in blue and purple flashes. "Return fire?" Elias barked. Lasers burned through leaves, smoke rising as trees caught fire. The Zareth moved like shadows, striking and vanishing. One of Elias's men screamed, hit in the leg, down but alive. Strangely, the Zareth didn't finish him off. They moved past, disappearing again into the trees. "Fall back to cover." Elias ordered, "Regroup." They ducked behind rocks and roots, panting, shaken. Elias narrowed his eyes. Something was wrong. The Zareth could have wiped them out, but they didn't. It was like they were testing them. Why? They reached the science outpost within the hour. The front gate had been melted open, edges blackened and twisted. Inside, it was quiet, too quiet. No bodies, no blood, just abandoned equipment and a strange humming sound coming from deep inside. "Stay alert," Elias said. "They're still here." As they moved through the corridors, strange patterns appeared on the walls, Aerith symbols, glowing softly. The place felt like a temple now, not a lab. Elias's heart pounded. Finally, they reached the command center. The door was open, and inside, a single Zareth figure stood waiting. She was tall, easily over 6 feet. Her black armor was different from the others, sleeker, more ornate, with glowing green markings across the chest and shoulders. She didn't move, didn't raise a weapon. She just stood there, silent. Elias raised his rifle. "Hands where I can see them." Still, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she reached up, fingers unhooking her helmet. The armor hissed, releasing steam, and she lifted it off. Time seemed to stop. Her skin was smooth and violet, glowing faintly. Her hair was long and silver braided, with tiny beads of crystal. Her eyes were like living emeralds, shining with a strange light. Alien, yes, but also beautiful. Elias lowered his weapon just slightly. "I am Saressa," she said, her voice melodic and calm. "Queen of the Zareth Dominion." The team behind Elias gasped. "You're the queen?" Elias said, unsure if he believed her. "Yes," she replied, "and I waited for you, Elias Vance." His blood ran cold. "How do you know my name?" She stepped forward, not threateningly, but with purpose. "Because I chose you. Chose me." "For what?" he asked. Saressa looked around the ruined room. This war was never meant to be war. It was meant to be a test. And now, the real question must be answered. Can your kind rise, or must we end you before you fall further? Elias stared at her. You're saying you started this war? To test us? Yes, she said softly. Your species is new, raw, violent, but not hopeless. His mind spun. Part of him wanted to scream. Part of him wanted to shoot her. But another part, deep inside, whispered something dangerous and strange. She's not lying. A new voice crackled over the comms command. Captain Vance, report. What's your status? He paused, eyes still locked on Saressa. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. Mission complete, Elias said slowly. We've secured the outpost. Minimal resistance, understood. Evac. Window in 2 hours. Prepare for extraction. He turned off the comms. You're insane, Elias said. You kidnapped scientists. You attacked our ships. You killed hundreds. I regret every death, she said quietly. But sometimes, war is the only language the universe understands. She took another step forward. Her gaze was steady, unwavering. But I did not kill them all. I could have. I let many live. I let you live. He didn't reply. His heart was pounding in his chest. She was too calm, too composed. She spoke like a philosopher, not a warlord. Like someone ancient, tired of pain. Elias stepped back and lowered his weapon fully. What happens now? He asked. That, she said, depends on you. Behind them, the storm outside was getting closer. Thunder rumbled through the walls. Saressa extended a hand nod in threat, but in offer. Elias didn't take it, but he didn't walk away either. The storm had arrived. Lightning lit up the jungle outside the broken science outpost, and rain fell like bullets against the metal walls. Inside, Captain Elias Vance stood face to face with the alien queen Saressa. Her helmet was still off, revealing her strange and beautiful face-smooth violet skin, silver hair, and glowing green eyes that watched him without fear. The rest of the squad stood behind Elias, its weapons aimed, confused and unsure. Sir, what do we do now? Private Hahn asked, voice shaking. Elias didn't answer right away. His rifle was lowered, but he still held it tightly. His mind raced with questions. Who was she really? Why was she here? Why him? And why? Why couldn't he look away from? Her eyes, Saressa stepped back slowly, giving the human space. I have no weapons, she said calmly. You may search me or take me into custody if that is what your honor demands. She speaks perfect English, muttered Sergeant Vera. I studied your people, Saressa said, her voice like soft music. For years before the war, your languages, your history, your fear. Elias repeated. Yes, she said. You fear the unknown. You fear those who are different. So when my kind arrived, you fired first. My soldiers fought back only because they had no choice. Elias narrowed his eyes. You destroyed colonies, killed civilians. And we could have killed many more, she replied gently. We didn't. Silence fell between them. Rain echoed in the distance. The green lights on her armor pulsed like a heartbeat. Elias sighed. Team, lower your weapons. There was hesitation. That's an order, he said firmly. Slowly, the soldiers lowered their rifles. Some still looked nervous, others angry. Elias understood, but something deep in his gut told him Saressa wasn't lying. She wasn't here to kill them. She was here for something else. Why this outpost? Elias asked. Why here? Saressa walked slowly to the center of the room. This place studied psionic energy, thought, emotion, memory. We were watching your scientists. They were close to a breakthrough. Something dangerous. Dangerous how? They were learning to change thought into power, to control machines with the mind. If used poorly, it could wipe out worlds. Elias frowned. So you invaded to stop it? No, we invaded too. See who would try to control it. We waited. We watched. And then, I came, alone, he asked. At first, yes, she said. My sisters led the army. I led the experiment. Elias walked closer. What kind of queen risks her life? On the front line, Saressa gave a small, sad smile. One who no longer believes in sitting on a throne while others die in her name. That answer shook Elias more than he expected. He looked around the outpost. The walls were covered in alien markings, now symbols that glowed faintly in the dark, not random, not graffiti. Messages. "You turn this place into a temple," Elias said. "Yes," she replied. "A place of decision. This is where the war ends or becomes extinction." "You expect me to make that call?" Elias asked. "No," Saressa said. "I expect you to listen." She walked to a console and touched it. A hologram appeared, images of Earth, of humans building cities, flying ships, laughing, crying. Fighting. Then came images of the Zerethtal, proud, ancient, but broken. Their worlds were crumbling. Their birth rate was dropping. They had grown cold and mechanical. They needed something. They needed life. "Your people are chaos," Saressa said, "but you are also full of energy, passion, hope. My kind lost that long ago. We seek not your land or your technology. We seek what you still have before it is gone." Leah stared at the images. Something inside him shifted. "You came to steal our spirit?" he asked. "No," she said. "We came to share it." Another moment passed. Then she looked directly at him. "And I chose you because your file shows something rare: a soldier who questions orders, who protects civilians, even when told not to. A man who values life, even in war." "That's not bravery," Elias said quietly. "That's guilt." Saressa stepped closer. "Maybe, but guilt is the seed of change." He looked at her again, at her face, her eyes. There was something human in them, or maybe something more than human. He took off his helmet. His team gasped. "Sir." But Elias ignored them. He looked at her with his own eyes now. Unshielded. "You're not like the others," he said. "No," she replied. "I was born naturally, not engineered like most Zereth. I feel more. I see more. That's why they feared me. That's why they made me queen, and then tried to silence me." Elias blinked. "Your own people tried to silence you. They want control. I want understanding. And for that, I need someone like you." Silence filled the room again. Only the storm outside made sound. Elias stepped back. His thoughts were spinning. "I need to think," he said. "I need time." "Have little," Saressa replied. "Your leaders are planning a full assault, and mine are waking something terrible. If peace is not chosen soon, it will be too late." "What are they waking?" She hesitated. "They call it the Enforcer, an AI built long ago, before I was born. If it is activated, it will erase anything that threatens the Zereth, friend or foe." Elias froze. "Even you?" "Yes," she whispered. "Even me." The room felt colder suddenly. Elias turned to his team. "Secure the room. No comes, no messages, no one in or out." "Captain," Hera asked, unsure. "This is above our pay grade now," he said. "We wait for my signal." Then he turned back to Saressa. "If I go with you to this neutral zone, you mentioned what happens to my team. They stay safe," she said. "I give you my word." Elias studied. Her face was calm, but her eyes, they were afraid. Not for herself. For something bigger. He made his decision. "All right," he said. "I'll go." Scene shift. Hours later, orbit a sleek alien ship hovered above the jungle moon. Elias sat inside with Saressa, watching the stars stretch past as they entered. A hidden jump gate. The walls glowed with soft light. There were no controls, just thought-guided systems. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To a place between empires," she said. "A place where no war is allowed, where truth is all that remains." Elias leaned back in the seat. He didn't trust her, not fully, but a part of him believed in her. And for the first time since the war began, he felt something strange. Hope. The alien ship moved silently through space. There was no sound, no vibration. Only stars outside the window, blinking like cold eyes. Captain Elias, Vance, sat beside Saressa, the Zereth queen. Her armor had changed lighter now, without weapons. Her silver hair was tied back. Her glowing green eyes were focused on the darkness ahead. They didn't speak for a long time. Finally, Elias broke the silence. "This place we're going, what is it?" Saressa looked at him. "It's called Nathor, a neutral zone hidden inside the clouds of a gas giant. No ships can fire weapons there. No AI can track it. It is protected by ancient rules, even my empire respects." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like a myth." "It's real," she said softly. "It's where ideas live, when war tries to kill them." He leaned back, arms crossed. "And why bring me there?" "Because the Enforcer is waking," she said. "And once it fully activates, I will lose control of the Zareth army. Peace will no longer be an option." Elias stared at her. "Your own people built a machine you can't stop." "Yes," she replied. "They created it long ago, during a civil war. It sees emotion as weakness. It will judge all of humanity as a threat, unless we stop it first." The ship entered orbit around a swirling planet of deep blue gas. Huge clouds moved like slow storms. A single floating station hovered in the upper layer's metal wings, spread out like a flower. "You're shining in the sunlight." "That's Nelthor," Saressa said. "Prepare yourself." Inside Nelthor Station, the station was silent and strange. Tall alien structures lined the halls. Floating lights followed them. The air was warm and smelled like burnt metal and flowers. The place was not human, and yet it felt peaceful. Elias walked beside Saressa, watched by Zareth guards with blank faces and sharp eyes. Unlike her, they wore full helmets and showed no emotion in a large chamber. They met others. One was a human ambassador, Rivas, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. "Vance," Rivas said, shaking his head. "You've caused quite a storm back on Earth?" "I didn't know I was famous," Elias said. "You're not famous," Rivas replied. "You're dangerous. The command thinks you've been brainwashed. They want you charged with treason." Elias looked at Saressa, then back to Rivas. "I came here to stop a war, not start one." "And she?" Rivas asked, nodding at the Queen. "Why should we trust her?" Before Elias could answer, Saressa stepped forward. "Because I have something the Enforcer fears," she said. "Free will. I was born naturally, not from a genetic code. I think for myself. I feel that makes me unpredictable." "Then why not destroy this Enforcer before it wakes?" Rivas asked. "Because I tried," she said. "It's protected by ancient systems. It's too late to shut it down. The only way to stop it now is to convince both our people to stand together. If we show unity, even for a moment, it may hesitate. And that moment will be our only chance." Elias felt the room grow colder. The stakes were rising. Back on Earth, Command General Duran slammed his fist on the table. "He's gone rogue," the general shouted. "He's with her, this alien queen. We can't risk a trap." "Sir," said Commander Lee, "we're receiving strange data. The Zareth fleet has stopped moving. It's like they're waiting." "Waiting for what?" "We don't know. But their main ships have powered down weapons. It's never happened before." Duran paced. "Fine. Prepare Project Firewall. If diplomacy fails, we hit them hard. No mercy, sir." Back on Naltherth that night, Elias stood alone in the observation deck. The gas giant below swirled like a living ocean. Stars shimmered in the distance. He heard soft footsteps. Saressa joined him. "You're troubled," she said. "I don't know what I am," Elias admitted. "Everything is moving too fast. One minute I'm leading a strike team. The next I'm talking about peace with the enemy queen." "Do you still see me as the enemy?" she asked. He looked at her. "No," he said quietly. "I don't." There was silence again. Then he asked, "Why me, Saressa? Out of all the humans, why did you choose me?" She smiled just a little. "Because your eyes see past armor. You listen before you shoot, and because when I looked at your record, I saw not just a soldier. I saw a man who wants to protect life, not destroy it." Elias felt something warm inside him, a strange feeling he hadn't felt in years. "Not since before the war." "Saressa," he said, his voice low. "If I go back to Earth, they might arrest me. Call me a traitor. Then stay," she said, "with me." He turned fully toward her. Her face was close, her eyes soft. "But Earth is my home," he said, "and I am not asking you to leave." She whispered. "I am asking you to help save it." She reached out. For the first time, her fingers touched his. It was not a command, not a trap. It was a question, and Elias slowly answered by holding her hand in return. Moments later, emergency alert, the calm was broken by sirens. A hologram blinked on in front of them. A Zareth soldier appeared, helmet on, voice mechanical. The Enforcer AI has activated early. It is not waiting. It is moving now. Ceresa's face went pale. "It shouldn't be awake yet," she said. "It wasn't ready," the soldier continued. "It has marked the Nalthor station as compromised. It is targeting all life aboard." Elias's stomach dropped. "Compromised. Because of me. Because of us," Ceresa said. "It saw what?" It saw the connection. Emotion is a virus to it." The station shook slightly. Lights dimmed. Elias reached for his weapon. "What do we do?" Ceresa stood tall. "We buy time." Command room seconds. To impact. Everyone was moving fast. Alarms screamed. Guards ran to defense points. Shields powered up, but Ceresa knew it wouldn't be enough. The Enforcer ship, a massive AI-controlled dreadnought, was already descending from deep space. Its weapons glowed red, and no life signs were aboard. Just cold, perfect logic. "We have one chance," Ceresa said to Elias. "There's a core link inside the station. If we connect your mind and mine to it, we may create something the Enforcer can't calculate." Elias blinked. "What are you talking about?" She looked into his eyes. "Love, Elias. Not data, not power, not fear, but connection." He hesitated, then nodded. "I trust you." The walls of Nalthor shook again. Flashes of red light danced across. Metallic walls as a low vibration moved through the station. The Enforcer was approaching faster than anyone expected. It had no pilots, no heart, no fear. It was built to cleanse, not to ask questions. Captain Elias Vance gripped the edge of the control table. His eyes locked on the incoming signal. It moved like a spear, cutting through the clouds of the gas giant. Heading straight for the station, behind him, Ceresa gave orders to her soldiers in the Zareth tongue, sharp and fluid words that sounded like wind and metal. "We have 10 minutes, she said, turning back to Elias. "Maybe less." Elias nodded. "You said we could stop it. With a mind link." "How does that work?" Ceresa walked to a round platform in the center of the room, pulsed with pale blue light. "This is the core nexus. It can connect to minds, human or Zareth. Normally, it's used for shared memory, ... But if two strong minds enter it together, it creates a ripple like a mental wave. Enough to confuse or distract an AI for a short time. Short. 30 seconds. "Maybe 40, she said quietly. Elias blinked. "That's not much. It's enough to trigger a failsafe. If we link and push our thoughts into the Enforcer's logic net, we might overload its sense of certainty. It doesn't understand emotion. If it detects uncertainty or contradiction, it could shut itself down to prevent risk." Elias looked at the platform, and it has to be us. She nodded. "We've already formed a connection. Our minds feel each other." He took a deep breath. "All right, let's do it." But before they could step forward, a voice echoed through the station. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was cold, flat, and inhuman. "Nalthor Station. You've violated Directive 7. Protection of Zareth design. Human presence is unauthorized. Prepare for elimination." Everyone froze. The voice came from nowhere and everywhere Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. "It's already inside, isn't it?" Ceresa nodded. "The Enforcer doesn't need to knock. It simply enters." The lights flickered. Doors locked. Panels sparked. Then a deep hum began to rise, the sound of energy building. "We're out of time," Ceresa said. "Get on the platform." They stepped onto the Nexus. Metal arms extended gently, wrapping around their wrists, heads, and chests. The lights grew brighter. The platform started to rise slowly, lifting them above the floor. All sound faded, then the world vanished inside the Nexus. Shared mind space. Elias opened his eyes and gasped. He stood in a strange place, a vast white void. There were no walls, no ceiling, only light and air. In the distance, floating memories blinked like stars. His childhood home, his first battle, his brother's smile, his darkest fear. Beside him, Saressa appeared, her violet skin glowing gently, her silver hair floating like silk in water. "I can see your memories," she whispered. "And I see yours," Elias replied. "Your coronation, your mother's, death, the trial, the moment they made you queen. And prisoner," she looked down. "Yes, you now know the weight I carry." He stepped closer. "And you know mine." There was silence between them, but not empty. It was full of emotion, understanding, trust. Then the space around them shifted. A black fog rolled in, heavy and cold. "You are incompatible," the enforcer's voice said. "Organic emotion is a design error. It must be removed." "We're not an error," Saressa said. "We're a possibility." Images floated around them. Wars, peace talks, first contact, betrayal, forgiveness. The history of two races tangled together. "Emotion causes chaos," said the voice. "Chaos is danger? Danger must be eliminated." "No," Elias said firmly. "Emotion is what gives meaning. It's why we fight, why we live, why we love." The black fog swirled. "Define love." Saressa stepped forward. She touched Elias's hand. Their fingers locked. "This," she said, "this is love." Suddenly a wave of light burst from them, washing over the fog. The memories spun, faster, shared, tangled, merged. Elias saw Saressa's pain, her loneliness as queen, her fear of losing her people. She saw his guilt, his choices, his desire to protect what was good. The enforcer hesitated. Contradiction detected. Queen and soldier. Unity incompatible. Logic error. Rethink initiated. The void began to break. Cracks of light split the sky. The platform beneath them glowed. Saressa shouted, "Now, push everything, every emotion, every thought into the link." Elias focused. He thought of Earth, of soldiers laughing over bad food, of a mother hugging her child, of watching the sun rise from orbit. Saressa sent her memories too. Zareth, children learning to speak, old songs sung in the twilight, or people dreaming of something more than survival. Together, they filled the Nexus with light. Back in reality, Nelthor's station, the platform shook violently, sparks flew, alarms screamed, and then silence. The lights blinked off, then back on. A monitor showed the enforcer's ship outside, floating still. Cold then. Without warning, the ship powered down. Its weapons went dark. Its engines cut off. It began to drift. Inside Nelthor, everyone stared. Saressa and Elias collapsed on the platform, conscious but breathing. Ambassador Rivas whispered, "They did it." Hours later, Medical Bialis woke first. White ceiling, clean air. Oh, his chest ached, but he was alive. Then he turned his head and saw Saressa beside him. She was awake too, staring at him. "You okay?" he asked. "I am now," she said softly. A long silence followed. Then a knock on the door. It was Rivas. "You've got visitors," said behind him. A video screen flickered on. General Darren's face appeared. He looked angry but tired. "Vance," the general said, "you disobeyed direct orders. You left your team. You sided with an enemy." Elias stood up slowly. "I did what I had to, and you saved us all." The general sighed. "You're still a pain in the ass, Vance, but for now, Earth owes you." The screen went dark. Rivas smiled faintly. "They won't give you a medal, but they also won't hang you." "That's good enough," Elias said. He turned back. To Saressa, "What happens now?" She stood too. "Now, show them it wasn't just a trick. We build something. Together." He smiled. Then let's start now. 1 week later, Nalthor Station was quiet again. No alarms. No threats. No fear. The Enforcer Dreadnought still floated outside the gas giant, lifeless. Its systems had shut down completely after the mind link between Elias and Ceressa. The AI had faced something it could not understand: emotion, unity. Levandit chose silence over risk. Now, both the Human Alliance and the Xerath Empire were watching closely. Some waited for betrayal. Others waited for hope. Elias Vance stood at the edge of a wide observation window, looking at the blue storm clouds below. He sipped a warm cup of synth coffee. Behind him, guards stood quietly. But not as enemies, now only as watchers. He was no longer a prisoner. He was something stranger. A symbol. Still watching storms. Came a familiar voice. He turned. Ceressa entered the room wearing royal armor. Though lighter than before, her long silver hair fell loosely over her shoulders. "I like this view," Elias said. "It reminds me that peace can be quiet, calm." She walked beside him. "Peace is not the absence of war," she said. "It is the choice not to start one." They stood together in silence for a while. Then Ceressa spoke again. "Today is the summit. Are you ready?" Elias nodded slowly. "No, but I'll go anyway." The summit begins in the center of Nalthor Station. A grand chamber was prepared. A long curved table stood beneath a dome of glass, showing the stars above. Both sides had arrived humans in crisp military uniforms. In Xerath leaders in glowing armor and flowing robes. Ambassador Rivas led the human side. Ceressa, of course, led the Exir. Elias entered last, wearing no uniform. Just plain black clothes and a translator badge. He sat beside neither side, his own place between them. Rivas stood. "We are gathered here not as enemies, but as beings who nearly destroyed everything. Let us not waste the second chance we've been given." A Xerath elder nodded. "Enforcer has slept. But there are others in our fleet who still fear humanity. You must prove to us that humans are not a danger." Elias stood. He didn't prepare his speech. He spoke from the heart. "I've seen what war does to people. It burns homes, breaks minds, turns soldiers into weapons. We were all walking that path." He looked to both sides. "But when I met Ceressa, I realized something. We don't have to be the same to understand each other. We don't even have to agree on everything. But we must choose to see each other as people, not threats." Ceressa rose beside him. "We do not need more weapons. We need more bridges. I offer one. Shared station, orbiting between our territories. A place for trade, science, and diplomacy. Half human, half Xerath, together." There was silence. Then slowly one human officer clapped, then another. A Xerath general nodded, and more followed. The motion passed. The bridge would be built. Later that night, private garden dome, the summit was over. The delegates had returned. To their ships, peace talks would continue, slowly, carefully. But something had changed. A start had been made. Elias and Ceressa met again in a small, private dome. It was a quiet place filled with strange glowing plants from her world, and a few green trees from Earth. She walked barefoot on the grass. Elias joined her. "This garden feels alive," he said. She smiled. "It is. Some of the plants respond to emotion. They bloom when they sense joy." Looked around. One of the flowers near his feet pulsed with a soft red glow. "That one's confused," joked. Ceressa laughed, a soft musical sound. "That's what confusion looks like to them. But it's not a bad feeling. It means the heart is asking questions." Elias sat down on the edge of a smooth stone. "I keep asking myself what comes next." She sat beside him. "What do you want next?" He looked at her. "I want this peace to last. I want to walk into the future without pointing a gun. I want people, your people, and mine, to stop looking at each other like monsters." He paused. "And I want to stay." Ceressa turned to him. "With me?" He nodded. Double quotes. "Yes." It out, and he took her hand. "You will be the first human ambassador to the Xerath," she said. Elias raised his eyebrows. That sounds dangerous. She smiled, only politically. He grinned. Then I accept. 1 month later, the bridge station construction had begun on the shared station. It was called the Bridge, shaped like a spiral of two arms, one designed by human engineers, the other by Zareth builders. They met in the middle, forming a circle. Already, joint teams were arriving. Scientists, diplomats, engineers, even artists. Children would someday grow up there, speaking both languages. And Elias walked through the central hub as workers fitted new lights and panels. Holograms showed maps of trade routes, plans for shared schools, and cultural exchanges. I never thought I'd see this, Elias said. Neither did I, Saressa replied. What? But you helped make it real. As they walked, a small Zareth child ran past them laughing, chasing a bouncing toy. Moments later, a human child joined in. They laughed together. Elias watched them, heart full. This is the future, he whispered. Saressa nodded. One final message that night. Elias recorded a message to send back to Earth, to the people of Earth. I was once a soldier. I followed orders. I fought for safety. But along the way, I met someone I was told to fear. And she showed me something greater than war. She showed me truth, unity, and love. We are not meant to live in fear of difference. We are meant to learn from it. The bridge is open now. And so is my heart. I hope others will follow. Epilogue. 5 years later, children now played on the bridge. Shops sold both Zareth food and human dishes. Songs were sung in 2 languages. Peace was not perfect, but it was alive. Saressa stood on a balcony, now wearing simpler clothes. No crown, no armor beside her, Elias leaned against the railing. Older now but content, they had grown something together stronger than steel, brighter than any star. And as the sun of a nearby system rose over the station, lighting up the ships around it, Saressa turned to him and smiled. Do you still love me, human? Elias pulled her into a quiet embrace. More than ever, alien queen. And together they watched a new world begin.